Innovation and Intelligence for the Future. This is AI Expo Africa, and we're speaking to Brett StClair, CEO of SIATIK.
Yep,
so exciting to have you here, Brett. Thank you for making the time.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. I'm really chuffed to be part of initiatives that are helping our industry, A, get exposure, B, learn a lot, and probably the most important part is network.
Yeah, that's been a big bonus. A lot of people have said the networking opportunities are amazing. But I want to ask you something quite specific to who you are. Challenges in AI, what are they for companies?
Yeah, so I have a pet peeve. And my pet peeve really is that AI, first of all, when you're doing it well, and the initial set of learning models is you need vast amount of data.
That's what we hear.
So many businesses might have a lot of data, but they're not really setting up their pipelines or something called extract, transform, and loading their data sets correctly so that you can productionize AI. Now, for me, that's a passion, because if you're only dipping your toe in the pond of trying interesting algorithms or going the opposite direction and building massive local hardware solutions and clusters and nodes, both ways are as limiting, because you get to a point where, because you have so much data, you actually don't have enough compute ever. And the kind of compute you need in the world of AI is this bursty, sporadic, on and off, but high volume. You need vast amounts of processing power for a couple of minutes. And I think in the world of AI, we've been used to buying a couple of boxes, letting our algorithms learn for weeks on end, only to see the end result and go, bugger, let me just tweak this algorithm a little bit and let it run again. So we've had to be very, very patient, and we no longer need to be patient. We need to be getting our data and our technology into the cloud to capture this massive amount of available compute that you can buy at the price of a credit card, essentially.
Wow.
So that's my pet peeve, sorry.
Yes.
That's why I get a little bit
this is
anxious.
great.
Come on, guys, let's do this at scale.
And you're saying that is within the reach of small companies as
Correct.
much as big companies?
Correct.
Because that is the fallacy that a lot of small companies feel, is that the larger companies have not only all the data they require, but the computing power. And you're saying with you guys, not
Well, that's
so
always
much?
been the hurdle, because if you look at a bank, that's been your hurdle to any entrant in a market, is that I have this huge amount of compute and I can afford to do these big things. And I like the idea of finance, because what you're seeing is these smaller finance companies starting to become banks, and they no longer need massive amount of compute that they install and build themselves or maintain themselves. They're now buying it on the cloud with a credit card, and it doesn't cost that much, especially in the early days. And you only pay once you start scaling. And because we're in this world of data, banks might have a lot of data, but it's so fragmented and in silos that they're actually not making full use of its potential. Whereas I look at a lot of the smaller businesses, there's so much public data out there, plus analytical data you can smash together and very easily offer value either to a large organization or build services that really matter to other businesses or to consumers.
That's really interesting. So it sounds like people are sitting on a wealth of data and they just don't know it.
Correct.
So do you come in and help them identify the data, gather the data, clean it, and make it implementable?
Yeah, so my little role in society as SIATIK is really twofold. Hey guys, this is how you use compute, and it's not just create the same architecture that you've always run, how servers are all laid out. It's about using modern techniques like containerization and Kubernetes. Very, very cheap, cost-effective compute power. And then in parallel, we help organizations understand how to take their data out of SQL databases. Seriously, I'm so tired of SQL. And put them into something really interesting based out of the world of say, MapReduce, where you see the world of Hadoop and all the flat and unstructured databases all in that kind of game. And you throw horsepower at that, and you can start doing some really interesting things with big data. Once you've got it up there, you can also then start training the algorithms really well. So my role as SIATIK is to help organizations, first of all, understand what's out there, and B, we call it engineering your data to work effectively for you.
I think that's a much nicer way of putting it, engineering your data. It doesn't feel as terrifying and as big as some of the other ways
because everyone
people
keeps
speak about
trying
it.
it, and we have warehouse after warehouse after warehouse. You don't need to do that. You need to engineer your pipelines correctly, and you can have real-time analytics, for instance, or real-time machine learning models.
So one of the controversies I've also heard about is data scientists. On the one hand, we're saying we don't have enough, and on the other hand, we're saying data scientists are actually used for a very small portion of what is a very big process. So they're literally just used to write algorithms, whereas there's, like you were saying, the gathering and the cleaning of data, and then there's the deployment and the maintenance or the optimization.
Correct.
Which side are you leaning towards? Let's have more data scientists, or let's utilize them in a much better way?
I'm on both sides. I'm just 4 layers up. So what I mean by that is we need more data scientists, but like 100 to 1,000-fold more data scientists, just because I don't think we understand how many problems can be solved. We're focusing on 1 or 2 algorithms per industry or business. Like finance, it's about credit vetting. In the world of medical science, it's using vision APIs to really diagnose imagery. That's great, but there's so much more we can do. But I also think we need lots of data engineers, and it's really sad to use a brilliant data scientist who's not interested in technology, they're interested in the statistical outputs, to actually build this. So I think they're 2 different skill sets. But then the next level is, well, we need more than just data engineers and data scientists. We need software engineers who enjoy writing the applications that's sitting on that. And I think also what we completely overlook is on the ethical, moral side of things, because we don't understand ourselves as humans. So as we get better at artificial intelligence, what we're not getting better at is understanding our own intelligence and who we are as humans. And we want to debate the impact of, if AI had to do X, Y, and Z, what would be the implication on society? And my argument is really, well, do we understand if humans carried on the current path of some morality or culture or thinking, and what is the impact on society then? Because all that AI is going to do is it's going to take the biases that we have and accelerate and add volume to it. So there's a whole field there that's we're just not seeing any philosophers and ethics people starting to address the real problem of who we are, which I think is going to slow us down in this world of AI.
Yeah. I think you're completely right. One of my deep passions is the ethics of AI. And I regularly go to conferences in Europe, and there's a huge discussion in Europe around, especially with the new laws, that how do we, where is the human in all of this? Because that's who we're building for ultimately.
Laws and governance happen after the events happen.
Yes.
So we've got to be responsible and forecast and at least understand ourselves, so when it does happen, we understand how we're going to react to it. A lot of bad's going to happen on the way.
A lot of bad. And what are your thoughts around the Facebook situation then?
Facebook's awesome. No, I'm kidding. No,
but
Facebook is awesome.
They are awesome. They connect families. I mean, I know from my perspective, having my family and friends all over the world, it is the one space, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, it is the one space where I can get the information I really want about those people. But then you have the recent run-in with the
I think it's the great example of something's going to go wrong first, and then we're going to react to it. Because in all fairness to Facebook, who would have expected anyone to manipulate an election? It was really designed for people to be manipulated to buy product. And again, we've got to debate that one. Instead, the product they bought was an orange, weird president.
That was inevitable.
So I do feel for Facebook, but I also appreciate what they're doing. They are pushing the boundaries of what humans enjoy, what humans want, what this technology can provide us, and they're always overstepping the boundaries. So like in industry, we're criticizing Facebook the whole time. But really what we should be doing is saying, well, let's keep on pushing it. And then I hope that the shareholding structures keep large organizations in line. But that's why I like to see things like blockchain that are going to democratize and distribute databases. And I like to see initiatives where they think of reinventing the internet so that we democratize personal data. I mean, those are really important things, and that until Facebook's situation happened, we never thought or considered these. But we kind of fast forward it now, and we look at this world very depressed, and we think, what are we going to do? You know what's actually quite fun, by the way? Being in Africa, and being in South Africa in particular, is that we're this melting pot of amazing cultures and societies, and this incredibly diverse, unhappy, happy past of apartheid and all this kind of stuff that's happened. It's such a great space to be testing ethics, to be pushing the morals. We're this new emerging market, and our society is young, and it's learning so much in this world where we can track all this data and start forecasting outward what so many other nations are going to start experiencing as well as they come out of the world of emerging markets into these developed markets. So I think like we're this beautiful melting pot for a lot of interesting artificial intelligence scenarios to pan out.
Very nice.
So that's quite exciting.
And I think with our past, we're also a lot more sensitive to bias.
Oh.
We're a lot more open to having that conversation,
Yeah.
and we're a lot more open-hearted towards how do we use this to better society.
Correct.
I mean, one of the things I've heard over and over again is not how do we make more money or how do I create more capital. I've heard how do we shift the society? How do we move Africa forward? How do we leapfrog Europe? And that's been an incredible experience for me.
Correct.
Have you heard that a lot?
I hear it a lot. So I've been in the digital space most of my life, and I've been in the digital space, and I'm passionate, by the way, of Africa. And like in my time at Google, I kept being quartered away to work somewhere else, and I always chose to stay here because of this dream of us leapfrogging. So I'm a bit of a skeptic as well, because we talk about leapfrogging, but we expect somebody else to do it. And when somebody else does it, we get really bleak. And I see it, the world of Facebook and Google and Twitter and all these international organizations are doing the leapfrog for us. And I think it's kind of because we sit back and we go, well, won't you sponsor us to do it? Won't you fund us to do it? And I get it, but I also think we need to take responsibility. And as Africans, we've got to decide we're going to make the leap forward. We're going to use those interesting technology sets and ways of working, and we're going to do the change ourselves instead of kind of sitting back and asking for donations. And I've just seen it for 20 years, and I'm personally tired of it. And there's this beautiful tool set now in the power of artificial intelligence that truly allows us to be unique, solve our own unique problems, and scale our unique problems. So it's really exciting times.
That is very exciting. I think a great example of that is the banking system in Africa. The banking system has been revolutionized in a way that it hasn't in the rest of the world. And after this conference, I feel like healthcare is the next one, because there's a lot of really interesting stuff coming out of healthcare and AI driven by Africans. If you look at Ghana and Nigeria, it's incredible.
Because of the scale issue. We
Very
have
much.
lots of people who are unhealthy. We don't have enough money to be able to ensure they're healthy and can progress in life. So if we can scale it ubiquitously using mobile technology and artificial intelligence, what a win.
Is there another industry that you've identified in Africa that's a growth industry that's particular to us?
So finance, really interesting. Retail. So I think there's a ton of inefficiencies in retail. And when I'm talking about retail, I really look at the entire food value chain. The supply chain, the cold chain, the everything chain on the blockchain. We have this distributed food production capability with lots of small farmers, very vast spaces. So I think there's a lot that we can be doing using some intelligent data sets, making use of these new blockchain technologies, using IoT, that we can start to scale our ability to manufacture food. We have rich, fertile lands, and I'm starting to see pockets kind of popping up. And I really do think it actually starts in retail, because retail is where your demand is. And more retailers are starting to understand the true power of the data that they're sitting on, because it's not just financial data, it's your buying habits, it's your personal data, it's the experience, the measuring experience, wandering around their store, what people like or don't like. I mean, that's very, very powerful. And then you start working it backwards. Then it starts getting exciting, because we should be the feeding pot of the world in the future.
Yeah, we should.
So, I think that's the next exciting space. If we can get our health right and we can get our finances right, there's a lot to do.
There is a lot to do, but that's what makes Africa so, I think, so invigorating to be here. Is there's a lot to do, and there's so many of us who want to do it.
And our politicians keep creating more opportunities for us.
That is true. Thank you so much for being with us at AI Expo. It's been incredible to chat to you. You are one of my favorite evangelists.
Awesome, thank you.
So
Thank you.
definitely follow you on LinkedIn. And
Fantastic.
It's been great.
Thank you very much for having us, and we're proud to be sponsors of this year's show, and we're looking forward to doing it next year, bigger and better.
Definitely. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you very much.